You ever get an idea and you're not sure whether or not it's a good idea and you won't know until you do it? Well, that's what today's video is all about. Basically, we're gonna do a bike ride today, and that's probably gonna bring to mind two things immediately. Number one is, no, we haven't done a lot of bike riding on this channel, and that's because we don't do a lot of bike riding in general. I probably have not ridden my bike more than 2 blocks in the last 3 years. But we're going to take on a bit of a longer journey today. And your second thought was probably related to, and let me put your mind at ease right away, there will be no spandex. So it's okay to keep watching. So you probably can't see the car behind me there, but that's Emily bringing up the rear. And that's because we're going to be doing a little bit of staging of vehicles and bikes here, so we only have to do a one-way trip. So our plan for today is we are going to ride our bikes from Glenbow Ranch Provincial Park to Haskyne Legacy Park in Calgary. So, a smart person would have looked at the map to figure out just how far that is. I didn't. It's walkable if necessary, so if something goes wrong with our bikes, that won't be an issue. And I bring up something going wrong with the bikes for a very specific reason, and that's, like I said, we don't ride our bikes very often. We had to replace an inner tube on Emily's bike yesterday because it had been so long since the bikes even had air in the tires that it had basically gone flat and had a hole in it. So yeah, we don't really know what we're doing when it comes to riding bikes. But to maximize our odds of success, I used a little bit of strategy, and that is, since the Bow River flows from Cochrane to Calgary, that means in general that must be the downhill route. So we are going to stage first here at Glenbow Ranch. So we're both going to go down here to Glenbow Ranch. We're going to drop the bikes off, try and lock them to something, although, both of our bikes are anywhere from 25 to 30 years old. So if someone were to steal them, it wouldn't be, the end of the world. It would suck, but it wouldn't be like we're out thousands of dollars. My bike was purchased at Costco, probably 25 years ago for $100 and some bucks or something, whatever they were at that time. But we're going to lock them here at Glenbow Ranch, then take both vehicles to Haskyane Legacy Park, leave the truck there, come back here with the car, and then ride our bikes back to Haskyane, put the bikes in the truck, and then drive back here and pick up the car. That's our plan. We'll see how it plays out. Like I said, this is completely different content for the channel. There will be a little bit of history mixed in here because, we will be going past the old Glenbow post office / general store, which has been shown on the channel here multiple times, and you can only see it from a distance. You can't really get close to it. There should be some nice prairie scenery, hopefully some train spotting, since a lot of the pathway follows the main line of the Canadian Pacific. I guess Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern, KCP, KC, whatever they call themselves now. As I've said before, it'll always be Canadian Pacific to me. So maybe some trains, a little bit of history, some scenery. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. It is an extremely beautiful day today. Lots of sunshine, no clouds in that sky wherever you look. So it'll probably be a busy day on the pathways, which is all right, I guess. All the real cyclists can laugh at us with our discount bikes. Well, my discount bike, I don't know. Emily's bike was probably pretty expensive back in the day, but she figures she's had it for about 30 years. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see how this goes. coming into the park here. Hopefully we can find a place to park and lock the bikes. I might take advantage of this open area straight out here and not even mess with the main parking lot. Being such a beautiful day here, it is just a constant parade of cars coming into the park as expected. So Emily's working on securing the bikes. All right, that should work for now. Now we'll see if we can get a parking spot, or get our parking spot back when we get back here after dropping the truck off. Which is another reason why I decided to park further away from the main parking lot. Maximize our chances of being able to get back to the bikes. All right, back on the highway, heading towards Calgary. Now, they don't have Haskyne Legacy Park really well signed on the 1A here, so I've got it punched into Google Maps so I don't miss my turn. So your pro tip, if you're trying to find Haskyne Legacy Park, you have to turn south.
Take the next right onto Woodland Road, Alberta 1A.
What Google just said. You have to turn south on Woodland Road off of 1A to get to the park. Like I said, it's not signed from the highway. Don't know if that's intentional or not.
3 kilometers.
Nice view here from the top of the hill of the Bow River and the Bow River Valley. Now, I don't like getting political on this channel, but the provincial government is considering a few different options for creating another dam on the Bow River upstream of Calgary to help with flood mitigation. And one of the areas that's being considered is right down here in Haskyne Legacy Park. And a lot of people are opposed to the dam option here because it would essentially completely destroy Haskyne Legacy Park. It would also flood a good portion of Glenbow Ranch Provincial Park, including some very historic grasslands. And it also would not provide any flood mitigation for the town of Cochrane itself. And so it's really just not a good idea, no matter how you cut it. But, you know, things that aren't good ideas and government sometimes end up going hand in hand together. So I would suggest you get out here and enjoy this area while you can. All right, we are here. Time to load everything out of the truck and into the car and head back to where we just were. Can probably see it behind the trees there. I told you. Whoa, Emily decided to put her foot in it.
Trying to get around the trees.
I knew she was trying to get around the trees so we could see the train. I told you there'd be some train activity today. This is a short little train. I think I saw that. Whoa. I was like, I think I saw that same train the last time I was doing a video in Glenbow Ranch Provincial Park. And somebody commented on it and told me what it was, because I had commented about how short the train was. So I'll see if I can dig up that comment somewhere. But right now, we're wondering if our day is going to be cut short. Emily says she saw a sign when we turned off the highway to come down Woodland Road that there was no public access to Glenbow Ranch Provincial Park. And that's concerning, since that's the entire point of today's trip.
It was very small. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I did not stop and look, so we'll check it out on our way back here.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it. And I did not see any signs going into Glenbow Ranch saying that there was no public access to Haskyne Park. And we were just on the Glenbow Ranch website, and there is one trail closure for cattle activity, but that does not appear to be part of this trail. So we're going to see if we can figure out what's going on. Okay, we're just looking here for the sign.
No public access to Glenbow Ranch Provincial Park. What does that mean?
I don't know, that must be an old sign.
Oh, thinking that you could cut through before they open the trail?
That's what I'm thinking.
Just take that down. That's very misleading.
Yeah, well, I'm gambling that that's an old sign because, I mean, this is a fairly new connector trail. I believe it only opened early this year, late 2023. And I'm going to even go out and put out a conspiracy theory that that sign was intentionally left in place to minimize the traffic down that road, probably for the same reason that there are no signs for Haskyane Park on the 1A. And this is my big conspiracy. This is my big conspiracy theory, is that the landowners along that road do not want a bunch of traffic. And so they probably have petitioned and lobbied to have no signs on the highway and for that old sign to be left up. That's going to be my theory. We'll find out if I'm right or not if we get turned around halfway.
I mean, we could.
All right, we are back. The bikes are still there, and there's even a parking spot near them. Not that that really matters, but
Probably no one wanted to park there.
all right. So I had alluded to this maybe being a bad idea due to our lack of biking experience, our old hardware, our complete, lack of preparation, but maybe the path's going to be closed. We'll find out.
I don't think so. I think you're right that it's an old sign.
We'll see. We'll see. Okay. So we're just walking our bikes through the parking lot till we get past the visitor center. Then we'll start the ride proper. I don't know how well I'll be able to film much while riding, given that I need a handbrake. Good excuse to break out the old Oregon 450. Haven't used that in a long time. But I have the bike mount for it, so... because believe it or not, at one point I actually had designs on riding my bike a lot more often than I do. And again, what a beautiful day out here today. Beautiful day for a ride, I think. I don't actually know really much about riding bikes, other than I know how to ride a bike. Yeah, here's why I was walking the bike. We have to dismount through this section anyway. So I figured if we're going to do that, we may as well just start from the top, dismounted. So far, so good, but it's literally been all downhill, so. Yeah, made it down the downhill portion without any issues yet. And now we just got to follow the valley. And I did promise I would show the old Glenbow post office and general store, sitting there in its dilapidated state. Uh-huh. I know, that gopher was kind of suicidal. There we go. I figured should be able to put the external mic on here. Was hoping for trains, but no such luck at the moment. But we'll probably see at least one more before we're done. That's my prediction. And in a perfect bit of timing, I just heard the train, so I'm going to pull over and watch. Kansas City Southern 4143 providing some mid-power here.
Well, I hate to say it.
First little uphill section. And holy crap, it nearly did me in. That's okay, we wanted to look at the scenery here. Honest. Excuse the heavy breathing. Just the top of another uphill section. Not very uphill, but I couldn't get my front gear thing to shift into the one I wanted, so I powered out part way. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Well, maybe a little ashamed to admit it. So according to the trip computer, we're just about 7 kilometers in. Here's where we started. We came down the Glenbow Trail, followed it along here. Here's those corrals. Cut down, showed you where we crossed the train tracks. Followed along here, past where Glenbow Village was, site of an old sandstone quarry operation, through this nice treed area known as the Narrows, and we're down here at Michael's Creek. Michael's Creek is one of those places I've always wanted to visit because I always saw it on the map. One of my favorite pastimes or leisure activities is browsing maps, whether old or new, and I always would see this on the map and wonder what it was and what it looked like, but it was 7 kilometers obviously and way too far for me to walk and then back, so nice to get it finally here. And just on the other side of the pathway, some interpretive signs talking about teepee rings, and it's kind of funny. It says if you look carefully, you can see some have central hearts, etc. But by the same token, the rules say stay on the designated pathways. So I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to actually see those. And then an interpretive sign talking about the Bear's Paw Ranch, which obviously operated in this area back in the early 20th century, late 19th century. So according to the interpretive sign, this little cluster of buildings here is on the site of an original shepherd's cabin and corrals. And we're getting closer to our destination. I can already see some dust on the road, which I think is the road into Haskyane Park. The Bow River's also looking a little lazier here because we're getting closer and closer to the Bear's Paw Dam. And again, still just a really nice day out today. Just a hint of clouds forming on the horizon. And just us and the birds. And a few cyclists here and there too. Probably wondering, why is this guy talking to himself? But that's okay. I'll eventually get used to it.
It's hurting my head.
Oh, wow. Just catching our breath. Well, I'm catching my breath. Emily's doing fine. Catching my breath here in a little spot of shade. Probably the last spot of shade we're gonna have till we get back to the vehicle. The Garmin temperature sensor says it's 27 degrees Celsius out. We're 10 point some kilometers into the bike ride. And this last little stretch has been just slightly uphill. Like I'm talking, you know, 3 or 4 meters up, probably over the course of a kilometer and a half. So it's a very gentle grade, but when you haven't rode a bike in several years, you're using a lot of muscles you're not used to. There we go. We're at 11.2 kilometers and we're in the home stretch, coming into the main parking lot here at Haskyane Legacy Park. We're here. We made it. Final stats for those keeping track at home. 11.53 kilometers. It took us an hour and 26 minutes, of which 54 and a half minutes were actual riding time and 31 minutes and change of stopped time. Not too many cars here in the parking lot. Fewer than I expected for a beautiful Sunday, but as I said in my video when I visited here for the first time, there's really not a lot here to attract people, so maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Still doesn't mean I want to see it underwater though. So my review, very nice trail, lots of nice scenic areas, nice mix of trees and riverside and train tracks and prairie. Definitely a lot easier doing it the way we did, starting at Glenbow Ranch and coming east to Haskyane. It's probably 98% downhill, a little bit of flat section, but you don't have to be in the best of shape, as I proved, to do it and to enjoy it.
This was fun. My 30-year-old bike hung in there, did a good job. They say it's just like riding a bicycle. Yeah, it was a fun day. We got out before it got super hot, and yeah, quite enjoyable. Glad we did it.